of Eric Jones and the 24, and around goes the 77 of Jones, almost up over the wall as they hit hard. The 20 of Kenseth involved, as is the 1 of McMurray. A big wreck coming out of turn 2.
Car gets loose, puts a little bit too much wheel back to the right, and basically head on into the wall, and then major impact behind, got him up in the air.
I think that was Daniel Suarez perhaps that made the first impact. It looked like the 19 car, that orange and white car.
Kansas Speedway has hosted some wild races, and honestly, it's probably one of the most dangerous mile and a halves we go to. The accidents at Kansas are pretty horrendous at times, and in 2017, it played host to 2 crashes that were unbelievable. Eric Jones would get turned down the backstretch, go head-on into the outside wall, and almost flipping. His car would go airborne, and at a mile and a half, that's pretty insane. The speeds at mile and a half are really fast, but it's very rare we see any flips at those tracks. Eric Jones was really lucky that his car stayed on the ground and that the accident wasn't as bad as it could have been. The spring race that I mentioned before at Kansas had Eric Almirola, who actually got injured in this accident. Thankfully, Eric Almirola was only out for a handful of races due to his back injury, but this accident is very horrific to look at. Eric Almirola will drive head-on into Joey Logano and Danica Patrick, who had caused an accident entering turn number 1. Almirola would come charging in there, and he would hit so hard the rear of his race car would fly in the air and then bounce back on the racetrack, which would essentially injure Eric Almirola's back. Thankfully, Almirola was able to continue the rest of the 2017 season and had a pretty great career after this.
He's trouble. Contact on the racetrack. It's Mike Waltrip and now Brian Vickers. Robbie Gordon, 31. The time. Oh, Waltrip's over. 1, 2, 3 times for Michael Waltrip.
Well, there's the big one right there. Took a lot. There's a lot of good cars right there. Is that Sterling Marlin in there?
40 cars in it. That's Michael Waltrip's car, upside down.
Slides up right there. Just ever so little contact, which doesn't look like a lot when you're running 185, 190 miles per hour. It's a lot.
There's the 15. The mountain right now, he's going to dig in. There goes one of the tires that Alan talked about. Violent.
Very violent.
Yeah, when you hit that grass.
Hang on.
Now the 30 car, he comes up and just, it's like you said, Wally, another 6 inches, probably would have not been an accident.
And it looks like the 30 to me got a little bit loose down there. He got a little bit loose, he corrected, but when he corrected, he slid up the racetrack, and unfortunately there were 2 cars on the outside of him. Close everything is in there, very confined. Plus you got the roof on you, the dash is all crushed on you.
The people in the back can see that and listen to the huge applause that Michael gets as he gets out and wave to the crowd.
It's a good sign.
Take the stretcher and put it back. We don't need it.
So not the kind of day Michael Waltrip hoped for, certainly, in this Daytona 500.
One of the biggest things that fans come to watch at Daytona is the accidents. The crashes can be insane, and the flips are even wilder. And in 2004, Michael Waltrip would get turned down the backstretch and flip violently in the grass, barrel rolling down the backstretch and having dirt fly everywhere. Thankfully, Waltrip was okay after this accident, as it took him some time to flip back over the car because he was trapped underneath it because how tall he was. Since then, Waltrip has never flipped in another NASCAR, but this had to be a wild experience for him.
Oh man, further back, Elliott Sadler, and look at this. Gosh, the engine is out of this thing.
Oh my God.
Net is down for Elliott. He's got the helmet off already. That is the best news. You can see he is in some pain. Oh man, I hate to see this. Look at the front of that car.
Engine completely out of the car.
Screen.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Look at that. Head on into that Armco.
The infamous Pocono crash. Now, basically, if you don't know what this is, you live under a rock. Elliott Sadler was collected in this accident with Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson. Johnson would get in the back of Kurt Busch and spin him out, and there would be a chain reaction down the backstretch that would collect Elliott Sadler. As the crash was taking place, all cameras were focused on the 2 car of Kurt Busch. Nobody was focused on Elliott Sadler's 19 car except for the initial impact. Nobody knows what happens after the impact, but there are rumors he flipped, He barrel rolled, he was on top of the wall. Nobody knows what happens, but it was one of the wildest crashes at Pocono that I've ever seen. And probably nobody will ever know what happened, as the footage is still lost.
26th at Martinsville.
Whoa, whoa, guys, whoa, whoa. Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. I have never seen anything like that in my life.
He hit that wall a ton.
Oh, my gosh.
Watch the 88.
Yeah, he's going down the front here, headed toward turn 1. You can see at 190 mile an hour, and he lost a tire.
Did he not? I believe he just drove down through the grass, which is not unusual for doing that here.
Yeah, that's right. Looking back on it, yeah, he clipped the grass.
It's dry with these cars being on the ground so low. I don't think you can clip that grass like you used to.
Wow, did that push back the Lexan windshield and everything?
The 2014 NASCAR season played host to one of the most heart-stopping moments when Dale Jr. would clip the grass at Texas Motor Speedway, catapulting his car across the racetrack and into the outside wall. Junior's car would then impact the outside wall so hard it would burst into flames, and Junior would immediately have to stop the car and get out. Thankfully, Dale Jr. suffered 0 injuries from this horrific accident, but this is one of the most iconic crashes of the 2014 season, solely because how dangerous it was.
Look at this pack. Trouble off
Trouble,
turn
big
4.
trouble.
Newman slams the wall.
Man.
Comes Schrader, and Newman is in the air and over. Ryan Newman, last year's Rookie of the Year. The rear end ripped from the car as he slides down the asphalt, and when that car hit the grass of the tri-oval, Ryan Newman went upside down.
Let's watch her here and see what happens. Oh, Kenny Schrader got out of control, got into him. Oh, that's what happened, Mike. His right rear tire came off. Car goes airborne, then when it hits the ground, it digs in and just rips it apart. Let me tell you, the way these cars are inside, he's in.
Ryan Newman at Daytona just doesn't mix. In 2003, Ryan Newman would get turned entering the tri-oval and send his car into the grass. What would happen next is one of the most iconic barrel rolls of all time. This footage would be played for decades to come, as it was one of the most wildest crashes at Daytona we've seen in the Gen 4 car when NASCAR was at its peak. Ryan Newman would flip down the front stretch and barrel roll so hard that the whole axle would come out of the bottom of his race car and he would end up on his roof. Luckily, Newman was able to get out of his race car unscathed after this traumatic accident. But this actually wasn't the only time Ryan Newman would have a massive accident at Daytona. And I'm talking about the 2020 Daytona 500. Coming off of turn number 4, Ryan Newman was looking to win the Great American Race for the second time. It was until his bumper would misalign with Ryan Blaney, the 12 car's front bumper, and he would go into the outside wall, flipping his car over. Corey LaJoie would impact him driver's side first and send Newman to the hospital. Thankfully, Newman was able to walk out of that hospital 2 days later, but it was by far one of the most scariest accidents I've ever seen at Daytona.
On the inside of Brad Keselowski off of turn 4. Side drafting the 2. Oh my. Oh, that's a hard hit.
Had just finished 6th and looked like when he went to the apron, he thought once he crossed the start-finish line, just come back up on the racetrack, but the 2 was there.
You're clear. 108 at the line here.
Oh, we got a crash.
48 goes around. The big one happening. The one's upside down.
Slow, big wreck behind you.
Kurt Busch climbed all over the top of the 41 of Custer. The 2 is around.
Some kind of big move here off turn 4 like Kevin did. Oh, and there
Shots into the wall with the one of McMurray. 3, 4 cars around. One on its roof. One car hard into the wall.
That was
and it ends in flames and sparks.
Our front row sitter up here, he's got a torn up race car.
Mark
78
Trix,
car.
Jimmy Johnson, he looks okay. Front end of his car on fire.
Menard had a fast car all day long, and here comes McMurray, and he just gets a little bit of piece of that 48. A lot like happened in the Unlimited. Looked like Jimmy's car just got loose and spun.
Look at Clint Bowyer in that 15 car get up in the air.
Thing went it did a 360. Unbelievable.
Did a barrel roll and came right back down on its wheels.
And he'll cross the start-finish line because it goes all the way across the infield.
Clint Bowyer is by far one of NASCAR's greatest, most entertainment drivers we've ever had. On the track or off the track, you never know what to expect from Clint Bowyer. And especially in 2014, I don't think anybody expected Clint Bowyer to barrel roll in the air, land on all 4 tires, and still continue to finish the race. I understand wrecks happen on accident and stuff, but if you could describe a wreck in Clint Bowyer, this crash would be it. The other one would be when he was flipping upside down on fire to finish the Daytona 500, but in my opinion, this one's better.
Okay, now, these guys, their job, if you're Austin Dillon, one of those
Watch
guys.
this run Kevin Harvick has on the bottom.
Now the bottom can go to the outside. They're all trying to build that run that Keselowski did.
Here goes the 3 car.
Will Dillon have help? No, they come down to block. Logano goes back up. Keselowski with him. McDowell in tow. Dillon on the bottom.
The run's on top. Oh! Teammates.
Around they go in a hard crash. Kyle Busch.
Larson.
Caution is out.
Bubba Wallace is in this. Austin Cindric. Hard hit by Kyle Busch.
Caution's out. McDowell is first to the line, but will have to go back to the moment of caution, which ends the race. Brad Keselowski is climbing out. He's okay. Joey Logano we see taking off the gloves and the steering wheel.
I think McDowell's the winner of this race, guys.
He was first across the line. NASCAR will review and have to determine the finish at the moment of caution. And we'll wait for official word.
Huge win if that's the case.
But Bob Jenkins' Front Row Motorsports crew is celebrating on pit road.
Oh, wouldn't that be incredible? You're going to see some emotion out of this guy if this comes back official.
A lot of tore up race cars.
All the Chevys torn up. You saw Priest with damage. Chase Elliott with damage.
This was a really hard hit. Kyle Busch when he came in.
Yes. Michael McDowell from Glendale, Arizona, for Bob Jenkins' Front Row Motorsports, has won the Daytona 500.
How about that?
Man.
That's a huge win for Michael McDowell and that team. Doesn't get any bigger than this.
And a huge crash for everybody else.
The final lap of the 2021 Great American Race saw Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski battling it out for the win. Ultimately, it was until Keselowski would pull down on Logano and Logano would throw a bad block, sending both of them careening into the outside wall, collecting multiple other drivers. This crash was by far a very heart-stopping moment as Kyle Busch would come plowing in there and a big fireball would burst into flames as Keselowski would go on top of the outside wall in this accident. Thankfully, everybody was okay, but this was still a wild way to finish the Great American Race.
There, he gets touched right there. Now this car goes way up in the air. When it turns around, you see it start to fly there. Turns completely up and pancakes right down on the roof.
That's what did all that roof damage you were talking about. Then it goes into a barrel roll.
Side over side, many, many times. Now it's on the nose of the car and then hits hard on the back.
That looked much like Ricky Rudd's flip here in 1984 in what was then the Busch Clash. Here's another look. Jay Sauter has a little push coming out of the tri-oval and just gets into Waltrip. And they were just coming out of the tri-oval, and at that point of the racetrack, you're almost out of control anyway, buddy, and just a little tap sent him around.
Absolutely. And the other thing, the roof flaps couldn't work because it went around so quickly, and the minute the back addressed the air, it went straight up in the air.
Buddy, the pits are open.
Earnhardt on the inside and Sterling Marlin outside.
And Ernie going with Earnhardt down on the inside. That's going to hit. Oh, big time trouble.
Terrible crash. Front of the field, all torn up. Earnhardt's number.
He said it was that win.
Oh, out of control goes Kenseth.
Over on his roof.
Get back on the wheels.
Car gets out of shape and then just pirouettes on its left side and goes over.
And we talk about the bump drafting has to be done on the straightaway, and you can see even on the straightaway, if you get hit too hard, it just takes the steering wheel out of your hands as a driver.
This was the scary part right here when he's on his roof for so long. Looked for a minute like he might save it, but then got down there. Golly, this is tough.
Yeah, and Matt really did a great job. If he goes up in front, he takes out 15 or 18 cars, so he did a great job of not creating that situation.
I actually forgot this flip existed. With just a handful of laps to go during the NASCAR Nationwide Series race at Talladega, Matt Kenseth would get turned on the inside and he would spin his car out, ultimately until it started barrel rolling down the track. Matt Kenseth was able to walk away from this accident, but this was still a wild thing to happen to Matt Kenseth because you never really saw him flip or do any extravagant wrecks in NASCAR.
Harvick slides up in front of traffic.
Cars upside down, cars everywhere.
And turn 4 is Calamity Corner once again. The field is frozen. Jeff Gordon came across with Stewart and Johnson side by side, but there are half a dozen cars littered between turn 3 and the start-finish line.
He's all right.
Last year's third-place finisher, Scott Wimmer, the 29 of Kevin Harvick, 42. The 42 of Jamie McMurray.
One of these cars was just standing up on its nose, swimming, spinning around like a water spout.
Greg Biffle. Jeff Burton had lost an engine prior to this. He coasts onto pit road between turns 3 and 4.
Because something happened to Greg Biffle, the 16 car that triggered all this.
I'm pleased. Watch it. See if it's Harvick's car. Oh, no, it's the 22 car.
Scott Wimmer.
Look at him just spinning around. He got up on his nose and come back down on his wheels.
In 2011, Denny Hamlin would lose brakes entering turn number 1 at Watkins Glen. What would come after this would be a horrifying accident. Hamlin's car would go full speed in the outside wall at Watkins Glen into the tire barriers as the back of his car would fly in the air and then hit back down on the ground. Thankfully, Denny Hamlin was okay, but this had to be one of the most scariest accidents he's ever had.
Oh, that's a heavy hit. Right rear, right into the wall, head on like that. Doesn't get any harder, Kevin.
That is one of the hardest hits that you can take in a race car when you get turned in the middle of the straightaway right front into the wall. And it is so violent, and I'm so happy to see him put that window net down quick. I know the car was on fire and he was in a hurry, but you could hear it in his voice how bad it hurt. And you're going to see him shoot up right here.
Yeah. You hear him go back to the gas, saving grace.